Welcome to NACTV Reads the News. My name is Gwen Jacobsen, and I'm one of many volunteers that help create programming for our station. I wanted to say hello to my mum, who's listening today. Happy St. Patrick's Day, and to everyone else out there that's listening. NACTV can be seen on MTS Channel 30 or 1030, Westman Cable Channel 17, Bell Satellite Channel 592, or online at nactv.tv. These programs are made possible by our volunteers, staff, advertisers, as well as donations made by you, the viewers. If you are enjoying your NACTV experience, please consider supporting us in either donation or volunteering. You can contact our office at 204-476-2639 or at nactv@wcgwave.ca. So, wearing green today. It is Friday, March 17th, 2023. On the front page, it has a beautiful picture of a lonely horse. The weekend winter storm that passed through Neepawa and surrounding area had everyone bundled up, including Bo, a bay quarter horse pictured here on Saturday, March 11th. And here's another picture. 23-year-old sorrel quarter horse Luke has seen a fair share of storms over the years, the system that passed through the Westman region being the latest of them. Now, crosswalk concerns will be addressed. Shift of pedestrian crossing at Mountain Avenue approved by Owen Devereaux. There will be changes made to a notorious crosswalk in Neepawa later this year. Town administration confirmed during the recent council meeting that they have received approval from the province to move a pedestrian crossing located at Mountain Avenue and Hospital Street. The crosswalk will shift from the south side of the intersection to the north side. That change will be made at the end of the current school year. The relocation was due to concerns from the town as well as the Beautiful Plains School Division related to serious safety issues for pedestrians and drivers in the area, especially on school days. The issue received further attention recently when a community petition led by Brad Mummery garnered several signatures. In his presentation to council back in February, Mummery stated that at peak traffic times, the area is at best a logistics nightmare and at worst a tragedy waiting to happen. The change in location for the crosswalk had to be approved by the Minister of Highways because Mountain Avenue is a former provincial highway and still falls under the jurisdiction of the Manitoba government. The pedestrian crosswalk was originally installed at its current location in 2019. And talking about Town Council, this is the Town Council meeting that was held March 7th, 2023 by Owen Devereaux. The town of Neepawa held its first council meeting of the month on Tuesday, March 17th. The full agenda started with the Spruce Plains RCMP report from Staff Sergeant Colby Argue. The update featured a review on the number of police calls for the region year over year to date, as well as information on the procurement of body cameras for officers, which will be in a separate story later in the paper. For the council reports, first, Councillor Jason Nadeau provided updates on 3 separate boards in which he serves as a representative on behalf of the town. The first was related to the Yellowhead Centre Volunteer Board, who met on February 27th. Notable items discussed included local efforts to create a community lacrosse league, which would play out of the arena. As well, it was confirmed that the ice will remain in place inside the rink until mid-April. The insurance for the pair of ice bikes purchased last year has been acquired, allowing for programs related to the bike to move ahead. The Yellowhead is also looking at bringing the circus back to Neepawa. Nadeau also provided a quick update on the Rossburn Trail Division and Westman Regional Library Board. Next was Councillor Yvonne Sisley. She attended the Neepawa Veterinary Board meeting on February 22nd. It was reported that the clinic will have a first-year veterinary student working there during the summer. As well, Councillor Sisley elaborated upon Councillor Nadeau's comments related to the ice bikes, stating that on Friday, March 17th, the Arts Forward Days Off School program has booked an afternoon session at the Yellowhead. Next, Councillor Darrell Gerard noted that Finance Committee meeting took place on February 22nd and that preliminary discussions on the municipal budget are on the go. He added that some recent funding changes by the province will have an impact on the budget. Expanded details on that were brought up by the Chief Administrative Officer later in the meeting. Next, Councillor Murray Parrott participated in a meeting with MLA Eileen Clark on February 23rd. Transportation matters and utility service fees were discussed. As well, as part of the Beautiful Plains Medical Clinic Board, Parrott sat in on a meeting with Assiniboine Community College and Prairie Mountain Health on February 27th, related to the new nursing program planned for Neepawa. The planned roof repair at the clinic will also start next month. Now, the manager of operations, Denis Segway, noted that the community's transportation survey is ongoing and that the water reservoir project has had some issues with a few pumps, but it is being looked after. The lagoon project, phase 2, has seen the pouring of some concrete walls completed and is overall proceeding nicely. As well, the Neepawa Golf and Country Club renovation project is moving ahead with the installation of a new bridge on the course being expected to begin on March 17th. Next, the Chief Administrative Officer, Colleen Sinsician, provided Council with some clarification on what recent funding announcement from the Manitoba government could mean for Neepawa. In late February, the province announced an additional $47 million in unconditional funding would be distributed to municipalities this year. Sinsician noted that for Neepawa, that would mean an additional $255,014.98 this year from the municipal operating grant. In total, Neepawa will receive $624,736.81 in unconditional operating funding. This will be the first increase in the grant since the provincial government instituted a freeze in the funding 7 years ago. Next, Sinsician discussed the new ACC nursing program set for Neepawa. She noted that the start date is expected to be in January 2024, though that timeline is not official just yet. An information session will take place at the Neepawa Legion on March 22nd at 7 p.m. An offer has been made to the town of Neepawa on a small portion of land located just north of the former Chicken Delight property at the corner of highways 16 and 5. The sale was approved by council with the addendum that any transaction would only proceed if the full sale of the Chicken Delight property moves forward. The identity of the interested party was not disclosed at this time. All right, what do we have next? All right, I'm going to talk about Helen Drysdale's article, Out of Helen's Kitchen. This week it is about oranges. She says, when I eat oranges, I always think of my dad and his stories of growing up in the dirty 30s. He remembered Christmas time and the thrill of finding an orange at the bottom of his stocking. Same here. Oranges were only at Christmas. Now we can afford oranges year-round. This popular citrus fruit originated in southeastern Asia, and the earliest mention of oranges was in Chinese literature in 314 BC. From there, they spread to Malaysia and India. Renaissance paintings that show oranges on the table during the Last Supper are incorrect. Oranges were not cultivated in the Middle East until sometime around the 9th century. The sailors in the 1500s to 1700s had been plagued with scurvy when they discovered oranges in South Asia. Not only did they take oranges home with them, but they also planted orange trees along their trade routes. This helped introduce the world to this fruit. Spanish explorer Ponce de Leon brought oranges to Florida in the 16th century, and Spanish missionaries brought them to California in the 18th century. Today, the country of Brazil produces nearly 1/3 of the oranges and grapefruits produced in the world. Oranges are unknown in the wild. They are a hybrid of the pomelo, or a Chinese grapefruit, and a mandarin. Their genomic analysis shows that oranges contain about 42% pomelo and 58% mandarin. There are now around 600 varieties of oranges. They are classified as 3 types: sour, sweet, and mandarin. Sour oranges, like Seville, are used for making marmalade. Sweet oranges are varieties such as blood oranges, navel oranges, you know, the ones with the belly button, and Valencia oranges for juicing oranges. Mandarin oranges are smaller, somewhat flattened in appearance, and loose-skinned, making them easier to peel. A member of the mandarin family are the clementines, thought to be one of the sweetest oranges. They were named after a family member of my mother, Clement Rodier, a French missionary who first propagated the cultivar in Algeria in 1902. 3 essential oils come from oranges. First, the oil of orange is collected from the rind and used mainly as a flavoring agent. The second oil is harvested from the leaves and small stems and is used in the perfume industry. The third type of essential orange oil is obtained from orange blossoms and is used to make flavorings and perfumes. I love the oil from oranges in household cleaners. Orange juice is a breakfast staple in many homes and is the most popular juice worldwide. Oranges are a treasure trove of nutrients with vitamins, minerals, calcium, potassium, fiber, and folate. If you consume energy or sports drinks, be aware that their nutritional value is insignificant. All they contain are electrolytes. If you want to switch to a healthier alternative, orange juice is perfect for rehydration and energy. This is a simple, colorful, and delicious salad bursting with orange flavor. You could substitute other greens in this salad, such as romaine or spinach. So Helen has 2 recipes. The first one is baby greens orange salad, which has 6 to 7 cups of baby greens, 3 medium oranges, a half a cup thinly sliced red onions, 2/3 of a cup toasted pecans. And then for the dressing, it's a 1/4 cup oil, a 1/4 cup orange juice, 2 tablespoons liquid honey, 2 tablespoons red wine or apple cider vinegar, 2 teaspoons poppy seeds, 1/4 teaspoon salt, and 1 teaspoon freshly grated orange zest. The other recipe is an orange cranberry loaf. All right, next we're going to talk about Delcy Martin's article called Your Listening Ear. And this week it's on preparing for conversation. Going into a conversation without a plan, especially if it's a serious one, can leave you fumbling for words in the moment and your brain moving into panic mode. A plan can ease your brain in the moment. Some people may need to write it out. If you have any doubts going into the conversation or feel overwhelmed before you invite your partner to conversation, I highly suggest you write points down. Reading points off a paper during your conversation may not be for you, but the act of writing it down can help you to better commit the steps to memory. Don't be afraid to write down potential positive effects of this conversation. This will help to remind you that you are being brave for a good reason. Some may like rehearsing the conversation out loud. One of my friends really likes to go for walks in the bush. He finds it really helpful in rehearsing difficult conversations and talks out loud as he walks. I quite enjoy talking to my dogs. The random snorts and licks can make it a bit distracting, but they listen well. If you are brave, talk to yourself in the mirror. This is a good exercise because you can not only check your words and vocal tone, but you can check your facial and body expressions while delivering your message. One study I looked at highlighted the importance of mindfulness practice and its effect on preparation for and having conversations. For those who aren't familiar with it, in a nutshell, mindfulness is about coming out of your head and into the here and now and being present with the moment in a non-judgmental way. Mindfulness practice can help you to want to take an interest in your partner's thoughts and approach stressful events as challenges rather than threats. You become outwardly focused, less focused on your inner script of doom and gloom or panic. Before you invite your partner into conversation, sit quietly and reflect. Set your mental intention for the conversation and a couple of brief points you might want to remember. It might look like this. I sit quietly, close my eyes, and think to myself, I want to embody respect, openness, and care. I want to remember to not interrupt and allow my partner to finish speaking. I breathe deeply, focusing my attention on my breath and open my eyes. Setting a mental intention may seem ridiculous to some, but it works. Your brain likes to fall into automatic paths of behavior that it gets used to over time. And if you want to engage in a behavior or remember something that is outside of the typical, you need to be intentional in changing that path. It seems super obvious, but the timing of a conversation is very important, but it's something we forget to consider. Consider what times of day your partner seems most tired, irritable, or disconnected. It's natural for us to have a slump during the day, so you may want to avoid having serious conversations during that time of day. It just adds an extra variable to affect the outcome of the talk. Your mood and your partner's mood are two essential variables that can affect the outcome of your conversation. If you have the ability to control the timing of your conversation, aim for times where you are both in tune with the world around you, not lost in your head, and in a problem-solving mood. Delcy Martin has a BA, a BSW, an RSW, an MSW. She is a Masters of Social Work student with the University of Calgary. Anyone who may have feedback on the column or wish to have a question anonymously answered as part of the weekly column may reach Martin at delcymartin@trueyoutherapy.ca. Martin's podcast, called The Relationship Review, can be found on Apple, Amazon, Google, and Spotify podcast platforms. Now, in the Rural Outlook section, Nick Beavington receives Community Service Award, submitted by the Neepawa Banner and Press. Dan Mazier, Member of Parliament for Dauphin Swan River Neepawa, made a surprise visit in Gladstone earlier this month to formally recognize a community member for their contributions. In attendance with a group of friends, families, and neighbors at the Gladstone Royal Canadian Legion, Mazier presented local resident Nick Beavington with a formal community service medallion. In reading and speaking with others on Nick's contributions over the years, it became clear how selfless he was and continues to be in supporting his community and those around him, Mazier noted. People like Nick deserve to be formally recognized because sometimes they don't realize how much of a positive impact they have on the people of their community. Beavington was nominated for his work with the local Chamber of Commerce, various Happy Rock projects, and other volunteer efforts. Mazier launched an initiative inviting constituents to nominate individuals who have significantly impacted the region in a positive way. The local MP plans to announce more award recipients throughout his constituency in the future. So this is Nick Beavington from Gladstone, and this is the MP, Dan Mazier. Now, still talking about Gladstone, the ace has been chased. Congratulations to Leighton Peters, who chose the ace and won $5,236 on March 4th at the Gladstone Arena. A new game has started and the pot should be over $2,000 this upcoming weekend. So here we have Chase the Ace co-chair Louis Robideau, the winner Leighton Peters, and the chairperson Carrie McLennan. What else? All right, RCMP body cams could soon be in use in Neepawa by Owen Devereaux. Spruce Plains RCMP will likely have a new piece of technology at their disposal in the very near future. In a presentation to Neepawa Town Council on Tuesday, March 7th, Staff Sergeant Colby Argue provided an update on the national implementation of wearable body cameras. Sergeant Argue noted that this initiative has recently committed to a contract with Motorola, who will supply around 15,000 cameras to detachments across Canada. He also stated that local municipalities will have to bear 70% of the expense, with Ottawa covering 30%, with the total cost for approximately $3,000 per year per camera. Neepawa and surrounding rural participants would be committed to paying around $2,100 for the equipment and management of data. The coverage of these costs would start in April 2024. As well, Argue stated the cameras will increase the detachment's workload, as an officer or clerk will have to vet the information within the footage after it is downloaded. For example, license plates of vehicles passing by the scene of an incident would have to be manually scrubbed out of the footage in order to protect privacy. An exact start date for the local rollout is not known, though on a national level, most detachments are expected to start wearing body cameras as early as this fall. Now, an article about the Neepawa Rotary Club, Book Bargains, Making a Return to Neepawa by Owen Devereaux. The Rotary Club of Neepawa has started to gather books for its annual used book sale. Rotary member Murray Newton said this local fundraiser, which began back in 2018, is hoping to feature between 7,000 and 8,000 books. He did note, however, reaching that amount of variety will depend entirely on you. We're hoping people from around Neepawa will support us in the weeks ahead by donating any books they have, perhaps ones they've read or have no use for anymore. If they could donate them to Rotary, we'd be very appreciative of this support, said Newton. 4 drop-off locations for books have been organized for the weeks ahead. Those spots will be at the Arts Forward Cultural Centre, Gill and Schmall Agencies, as well as the Neepawa Gladstone Co-op Grocery Store and Home Centre. Newton said Rotary members will spend the next few weeks gathering and sorting the book collected in preparations for the event, which is scheduled for May. He said while that is a lot of work, it's worth it, as the proceeds of the sale go directly towards Rotary projects in Neepawa and around the world. The Neepawa Rotary Club book sale will take place in May at the now former Chalet Floor and Window Fashions building at 139 Main Street West. Watch for more information on the event in a future edition of the Banner and Press. So the old Chalet Floor right on the main drag going west of town. Now, this is an article about the Royal Manitoba Winter Fair, submitted by the Neepawa Banner and Press. Brandon, Manitoba. The Provincial Exhibition of Manitoba, in association with a number of participating partners, are pleased to announce the return of its popular Forever Royal Community Ticket program for the 2023 Royal Manitoba Winter Fair. The program, which was established in 2022, will see over a dozen local businesses and organizations donate complimentary tickets to families in Brandon and the surrounding area. Thanks to these great community partners, we will be sending several hundred families to this year's fair, says Provincial Exhibition General Manager Mark Humphreys. Because so many families wouldn't have the opportunity to take in the winter fair, this program will ensure that so many of them will have that chance to enjoy the excitement of this event. The 6-day event, which will run from March 27th to April 1st in Brandon's Keystone Centre, will kick off Monday morning with the annual Sunrise Breakfast presented by Sunrise Credit Union, the Victoria Inn, Q Country Radio, and 94.7 Star FM from 7 a.m. to 10 a.m. in the historic Dome building. Among the organizations benefiting from this program will be the United Way, Samaritan House Ministries, and Westman Immigrant Services. Joining the provincial exhibition in providing this year's Forever Royal tickets will be Cenovus Energy Manitoba Hydro, Balin, Macmore Industries, Maple Leaf Foods, Velvet Dip, Guild Insurance, Mayan Haddad LLP, Westoba Credit Union, Manitoba Blue Cross, Cal Tire, Westman Lumber, Super Thrifty Drugs, Kelleher Ford, Giant Tiger, Euroscheme, Home Hardware, and Verdun Season Sales, 4 season sales in Verdun. Tickets to this year's fair, including free children's tickets courtesy of CNC Rentals and Recreation, and special RBC Family Day discount tickets for Wednesday, March 29th are on sale now at www.provincialexhibition.com. For more information, contact Mark Humphreys, General Manager of the Provincial Exhibition of Manitoba. Now we have an op-ed, an election campaign has begun, by Cam Dahl, General Manager of Manitoba Port Council. Sometime before October 24th, Manitobans will go to the polls to elect the next provincial government. While we don't know the election date, the campaign has already begun, or at least it should have begun for farmers if we want to see agriculture's needs reflected in the party's policies. The political parties are all getting prepared for the campaign to come. All are drafting their election platforms. All are setting up candidate briefings on key election issues. Will the aspirations and concerns of the province's farmers matter to the drafters of the party platforms? Will agriculture policies be based on the science that supports modern agriculture, or be influenced by some of the misinformation floating around on social media? The answers to these questions largely depend on farmers and farm organizations. Manitoba's agriculture community needs to engage with political parties now to ensure we see our needs reflected in every election platform. We need to provide our input while policies are being drafted, because reacting after the election is called or after the policy platforms are published is too late. What is on the policy wish list for Manitoba's hog farmers? Right at the top is the need for recognition of the role that the pork sector plays in driving the provincial economy and developing communities in every part of Manitoba. Rural communities like Neepawa, Roblin, Killarney, Steinbach, and Notre Dame de Lourdes are socially thriving and becoming more diverse directly because of investments in hog farming and pork processing. Our large urban centers like Brandon and Winnipeg are adding jobs and seeing economic growth because of the pork sector. 14,000 Manitobans from across the province depend on the hog sector for a well-paying, high-quality job. We want to see the party platforms take pride in these developments and commit to policies that will support this ongoing growth and development. Economically and environmentally sustainable agriculture growth depends upon science-based policies and regulations. This sounds straightforward and uncomplicated, but often political discourse can be influenced by misinformation on modern agriculture that is spread through social media and even picked up by mainstream broadcasting and print publications. How do we prevent misinformation from becoming a party's policy and eventually legislation and regulation? The most important way is to have every party commit to effective and meaningful consultations with farmers and their associations before implementing a change in policy direction. Commitment to science-based policies and promises of effective consultation are key elements we all need to see in election platforms. Every party will have policies related to greenhouse gas reductions and sustainability. Most Manitobans expect this, and candidates will need to address these issues if they expect to be elected. Like all of Manitoba's agricultural producers, hog farmers need to see environmental and animal care policies which acknowledge the fact that modern agriculture provides the roadmap for achieving society's sustainability objectives. Reverting back to the farm practices of old MacDonald is not an ecological solution, but an unsustainable path that will lead to reduced efficiency, increasing environmental footprint, and the rural poverty of days gone by. Building upon the research and technological advances of modern agriculture will ensure the sector is economically and environmentally sustainable for generations to come. What can individual farmers do to advance these policy objectives? The answer is simple, but requires a time commitment to carry out. We need farmer engagement if we are going to see political platforms that reflect the needs of our sector. Most candidates for the upcoming election have been nominated. The agriculture community needs to get out and meet with them. I would like to see every pork producer adopt 2 candidates, one in rural Manitoba and one in a major urban center. Ask to sit down and meet with candidates that share a differing political perspective. You don't need to convince someone who agrees with you. Discuss with them the key request from the sector and do this before they are committed to a particular policy platform. We also need to listen to candidates. Listening is just as important as delivering a set of requests. Listen to any concerns they may have about agriculture and commit to getting responses back to them. Provide this feedback to your farm organizations like Manitoba Pork and Keystone Agricultural Producers. Getting responses back to candidates is one way in which farm organizations like Manitoba Pork will help deliver common messages to all parties and practices. Political activists often say that public policy is set up by those who show up. What does this mean? It means that if we don't engage politicians, our voice will not be heard, and our needs will not be reflected in party platforms. Now is the best time for individual producers to influence policy. Now is the time for farmers, to actively participate in the political process. All right, we're going to talk about Arts Forward now by Casper Werhan. Students from the Beautiful Plains School Division were treated to a special art tour last week. Neepawa's Art Forward hosted the event on March the 8th, introducing the students to the works of Naomi Gerard. Gerard herself had been on the scene talking with the students and discussing some of the techniques she used for each piece included in the exhibit, which is aptly titled Multi-Grains of Energy. Each piece in the exhibit is a mixed media collage with grains incorporated into the art, creating a series of works celebrating the importance of Canadian prairie agriculture. Gerard grew up on a farm in Pennsylvania, going on to train as a registered nurse and complete a BFA in art at the University of Minnesota before immigrating to Canada in 1980 with her husband and children. Currently, she is an active member of the Winnipeg art community, has participated in Canada and the USA, and has taught classes and workshops as well. In addition to incorporating prairie seeds in her works, Gerard is also known for making her own paper and sometimes using paper fibers to create texture on a paper or canvas, using materials such as thread, yarn, cloth, plaster, sand, and other natural materials. Color is also an integral component of her works. Multi-Grains of Energy is on display at the gallery until March the 30th. So here we have some students listening to Naomi Gerard explain her techniques, and below are a couple of samples of her work, incorporating prairie seeds into her artwork. Very nice. Go check that out. Wow. Expressive Dance celebrates Clan Gathering 2023 by Crystal Scott of Expressive Dance with Crystals. Expressive Dance with Crystals Highland dancers and families celebrated their 8th annual Clan Gathering on Saturday, March 4th. Crystal invited her Highland dance students from Dance Images Brandon School of Dance and their families to join in as well. The event was held at the Minnedosa Ukrainian Hall and was attended by 29 Highland dancers and over 100 family members. The afternoon started off with a showcase of traditional Highland dances, national dances from the lowlands of Scotland, jigs, hornpipes, and choreographies. There was an intermission snack midway through the dancing. The dancers who participated in the November 2022 dance exams were then presented with their Highland Medals Test Awards. The event continued with a fabulous potluck supper, followed by family games like egg and spoon race, three-legged race, wheelbarrow race, tug of war, and balance the haggis, etc. The evening continued with an opportunity to get the families up to try a few old-time pattern dances like Road to the Isle, Heel-Toe Polka, Seven-Step, Four Horsemen Shotties, Waltz, Two-Step, and a few other tunes. A great addition to the evening was the local musicians, Carrie Clark, Clark McNabb, and Fred Scott, who played the tunes for the dancers and their families to dance to. Thanks to all those who helped out in any way to make this a memorable, fun-filled family event. And there they all are with their beautiful costumes on. Very nice. Now, on to sports. Neepawa Ballers, proud to represent the community on and off the court by Owen Devereaux. Some of the best hoopers from the Neepawa Ballers Basketball League recently headed down the road to Brandon to showcase their skills and, more importantly, the spirit of Neepawa. A team consisting of around a dozen participants in our local league were invited to the tournament, which was played on February 25th and 6th. Rafael Flores Jr. organized the team after receiving the invitation a few weeks earlier. He said while it was a little bit of short notice to get everything together, they were still very honored to receive the invite. He added they feel as though they did represent the town in a positive way. He said, we were invited to participate in their mini tournament. It was short notice for us, like maybe just 2 weeks, so we didn't have much preparation for practice because we don't have any time. However, it was still a lot of fun to be invited and to play. For us, it was not only about winning, it's also about how you play the game. We wanted to go and represent our beloved town, Neepawa. It's like our heritage. You play representing your own town back in the Philippines. Flores Jr. said the team played a pair of games over the weekend, and though they didn't come away with the victory, they're still very proud of how they showcased the talent. They witnessed that there are some good players in Neepawa, some Filipino players and some Canadians there from Neepawa representing the community, Flores stated. As for participating in the event, Flores Jr. said it's something they are very much open to. I've already had my teammates asking if we can have like once a month, have a training or practice as a team. And we are also planning to make 2 pairs of jerseys because that jersey we were using was from other players that we borrowed. We wanted to represent Neepawa. And here's a picture of them here. And here's some action shots. Now, Neepawa Tigers hockey team upset Killarney by Owen Devereaux. The Neepawa Tigers' dream run in the Westman High School Hockey League Championship continues as they have bested the Killarney Wawanesa Raiders. The Tigers defeated the best team in the league 2-1 in their best-of-3 semifinal series on Tuesday, March 14th in Killarney. The victory was even more impressive as Neepawa achieved an amazing late-game come-from-behind win to move on. With less than 3 minutes left in regulation, the Tigers trailed in the winner-go-home showdown by a score of 2-1. A late-game hooking penalty against the Raiders, however, provided Neepawa with the chance they needed as Jory Kalbaki scored a pair of goals to give the Tigers the late lead and ultimately the series victory. Kalbaki also scored the team's first goal earlier in the game, which happened late in the first period. Game 3 had originally been set for Sunday, March the 12th, but had to be rescheduled due to the snowstorm that traveled through the region over the weekend. The 4th-seeded Neepawa Tigers now advance to the finals of the championship bracket, where they'll meet the 3rd-seeded team, the Swan Valley Tigers. Swan was able to reach the final with an upset of their own, besting the Dauphin Clippers, who were seeded number 2, 2-0. The schedule for the championship series was not available before the Banner and Press publication deadline. It will be available when announced on the Westman High School Hockey League website or through the Banner and Press social media platforms. This is a bit of a game recap. The semi-final series opened up on Tuesday, March 7th at the Shamrock Centre, Killarney, with the Raiders earning an 8-5 victory over Neepawa. The Raiders took control quickly, scoring the first 4 goals of the game. The Tigers tried to climb back into it, but simply couldn't put a significant dent into Killarney's lead before the end of regulation. Jory Kalbaki and Riley Davey each scored a pair of goals for Neepawa, with Davey also adding an assist to his game stats. Cohen Kalbaki scored the other goal for the Tigers, while Tarek Lapointe registered a 3-point performance. The results would be a little bit different for Neepawa on March 10th at the Yellowhead Centre as they beat the Raiders 4-2. A fair-sized and boisterous crowd helped inspire the home team throughout the game. That collective got even louder after Tristan Friesen scored the first of the night to give Neepawa an early lead. The Raiders would reply with a power play goal just before the end of the first period to make it 1-1. For the first 10 minutes of the second period, the Tigers had several great chances at goal, with a pair of breakaways and one shot ringing off the outer portion of the post. That persistence would pay off, however, as Jory Kalbaki scored his 5th goal of the playoffs with 9:32 remaining in the second period. That was the only goal of the middle frame. For the third period, Terrick Lapointe picked up what would end up being the game winner. A little over 3 minutes into the action, Killarney clawed one back on a power play, but the Tigers' Riley Davey returned the lead to 2 with just 4:17 remaining. That was enough for Neepawa to close out a 4-2 win. Goaltender Gatlin Platt picked up the win for the Tigers, facing 33 shots over the course of the game. Congratulations. Now, some news for the Manitoba Junior Hockey League. The exceptional season of Briley Wood has been recognized by the Manitoba Junior Hockey League as the 20-year-old forward has been named a first-team All-Star. Wood recorded 53 points in just 37 games this season with the Neepawa Titans this year after joining the team in November. Other first-team All-Stars included Lucas Brennan of Selkirk Steelers, Ryan Botterill of Portage Terriers, Trent Sambrook of Winkler Flyers, Owen Wareham of the Dauphin Kings, and Kobe Grant of the Swan Valley Stampeders. Still with sports, the under-13 female Titans win bronze. Female hockey has proven once again to be strong in Neepawa. The under-13 female Titans won bronze at a Rural A under-13 female provincials in Hamiota on March 5th. Entering the weekend, the girls knew they had a chance to make the medal round, but also knew the competition would be tough. They would have to be committed and ready to play hard each game. The top 10 rural teams in the province all came with the same goal in mind, and the level of play proved to be the best it could be. The girls showed determination and incredible team focus all weekend, tying their first game against the Westman Falcons 2-2. The second game was played Friday evening against Rock Lake with a 2-1 win, followed by a 2-1 win over Elkhorn on Saturday. Coming up short against the Southwest Stars on Sunday morning, losing 3-2 in overtime, the girls secured a spot in the bronze medal game. Determination, teamwork, and grit led them to a 3-1 victory over Morden to bring home the bronze. Once again, the year began with the collaboration of Neepawa and surrounding area. The dedication of players, coaches, and parents, and the commitment to make the season a success allowed the team to form, with 5 players from Neepawa, 1 from Arden, 2 from Carberry, 1 from Onanol, and 1 from Rolling River First Nation, and 4 from McCreary. The team was formed. The bond and energy that the girls bring each practice and game never ceases to amaze the coaches, parents, and fans. The girls have soaked up the new skills and direction the coaching staff have provided this year, and their efforts were rewarded with the bronze. So here we have in the back row, Justin Gingras, assistant coach, Sheldon Anderson, coach, Karina Wither, Regan Bjarnson, Charlotte Unraw, Maya Gingras, Kitson Dunning, Kataya Anderson, Winona Hall, Cam Wither, assistant coach, Tristan Duchard, assistant coach, and Brent Crossan, assistant coach. And then we have Allie Pollock, Carly Coleman, Ann Crossan, Alyssa Thompson, and Calla Porter. And in the front row, Callie Duchard. And missing from the picture, Ella Selman, Amy Dubnik, manager, Preston Finney, assistant coach, and Alicia Oswald, goalie coach. Wow. Now, this is the Tiger Hills Hockey League update. Minnedosa has Gladstone on the brink of elimination by Owen Devereaux. The Minnedosa Bombers are one win away from a return trip to the Tiger Hills Hockey League final. Minnedosa, who are the East Division's second-ranked team, have jumped out to a 2-0 series lead over the Gladstone Lakers in the divisional final. If the Bombers are able to close out the Lakers in Game 3 on Wednesday, March 15th, the game completed after banner and press publication deadline, Minnedosa will advance to the league final for the second straight year. Game 1 of the best-of-5 series were played on Friday, March 10th in Gladstone and saw Minnedosa claim a 3-2 win in overtime. After a scoreless first period, the Bombers picked up a pair in the second, while the Lakers had one. For the majority of the third, that's exactly how it would remain until Trey Avinson scored the game-tying goal with just 33 seconds left in regulation. In overtime, however, Minnedosa would be the one celebrating as John Cowell picked up an unassisted goal to give the Bombers the road win. Game 2 would be the very next night in Minnedosa and would be a much more decisive 4-1 win for the Bombers. For the second straight game, the opening 20 minutes would be scoreless. It remained the same for well over half the second period until Tony Partridge scored on the power play. A few minutes later, Ryan Hino and Shane Jury added to the lead, making it 3-0, Minnedosa going into the third. J.C. Kennedy picked up one for Gladstone early in the third on a power play chance, but that would be it for the rest of the night for the Lakers. Jury added his second goal of the game and 10th of the playoffs on an empty net opportunity with just seconds remaining in regulation. And still with Tiger Hills Hockey League, one of the newest teams in the Tiger Hills Hockey League is seemingly coasting through the playoffs on its path to the final. The Minnesota Elkhorn Seahawks joined the league this year along with the River Jets as both clubs transferred over from the North Central Hockey League. Historically, the Seahawks have been a North Central powerhouse, and they appear to be continuing that tradition in Tiger Hills. After going 17-1 in the regular season, Minnesota Elkhorn has gone undefeated in the postseason. As well, they currently hold a 2-0 lead over the Killarney Shamrocks in the West Division final. The Seahawks won both games by identical 7-goal margins, 10-3 and 8-1. Game 3 of the series was played in Minnesota on Wednesday, March 15th. Again, the results will appear in a future edition of the Banner and Press. And still with sports, we're going to have an update on the Neepawa Figure Skating Club, submitted by the same. The Neepawa Figure Skating Club, NFSC, has had a successful year of competitions. Some of our skaters attended the Verdun Fun Skate in January. The Star 3 event, Ivory Gehring, brought home the bronze ribbon. In the Star 4 event under 13, Olivia Koselny placed 5th, while Dimitri Smith placed first in the Star 4 boys event. Madeline Wachowski competed at her very first competition in the Can Skate Stage 4 event and received a gold ribbon. NFSC skaters attended the Skate Manitoba Winter Blast. In the Star 1 Elements event, Sydney Wolf brought home a silver ribbon. In the Star 3 Elements event, McKenna Sumner came home with a gold ribbon, while Ivory Gehring received a bronze ribbon in the Star 3 Free Skate event. In the Star 4 Free Skate under 13 event, Olivia Koselny placed 6th, while McKenna Sumner placed 6th in the Star 4 Free Skate over 13 event. In the Star 4 Boys Free event, Dimitri Smith earned a silver medal. In the Star 5 Artistic, Claire Nicholson placed 7th. The Neepawa Figure Skating Club is now preparing for the Skate Manitoba Provincials being held in Portage on March 17th to the 19th. They are also preparing for the annual year-end ice show. This year's theme will be Disney on Ice and will include skates from Can Skate, Senior Can Skate, Star Skaters, and a regional synchro team. The March Ice Show will be held on Wednesday, March 22nd from 6 to 8 p.m. at the Yellowhead Center. Admission will be a silver collection. Come on out and enjoy this great event. And another sports article. WMCI Warriors win varsity girls basketball title by Owen Devereaux. The fierce rivalry between the William Morton WMCI Warriors and Neepawa NACI Tigers varsity girls basketball teams culminated in the Zone 7 final. The teams had split a pair of games during the regular season and would face off one last time in the championship on Tuesday, March 7th at the NACI Gymnasium. After 40 minutes of play, it was the WMCI Warriors who claimed the Zone 7 banner, winning 55-44. After the game, Warriors coach Trevor Lang told the Banner and Press his players' commitment to practice and focusing on the team elements of the game were a big part of their success. They were dedicated right from the start of the season. As a team, they have come together and played solid defense throughout the season. We showed improvement as the season went on, and I'm proud of what we were able to accomplish out there, stated Lang. With the win, WMCI closed out the year with a 10-2 record, 8-2 in the regular season and 2-0 in the playoffs. Congratulations. Now, Neepawa resident celebrates his 90th birthday. Friends and family gathered around Ernie Mothe on his 90th birthday. The Kinsman Court 2 multi-purpose room was abuzz, but the special treat was the help and love from great-grandchildren Luke, Ellie, and Lachlan, missing from photo, but busy with cake, youngest Adeline. Ernie, with his usual good humor, tried to convince folks he was 190. Truly, he is 90, but with 190-year experience. My husband and I were at this birthday party, and there was a special cake presented to him. And this is a horse that he owned way back in the day. And it was one of those horses that went behind one of those little buggies, and he would go in competitions with it. So he was pretty happy about that cake. Well, we have one more sports article on the last page, and it's about the Neepawa High School varsity boys basketball team by Owen Devereaux. The Neepawa Tigers varsity boys basketball team has achieved perfection after beating the McGregor Mustangs 57-47 in the Zone 7 final. With the victory, the Tigers have not only laid claim the MHSAA Zone 7 title, but a flawless 12-0 league record on the year with 10 regular season wins and a pair in the playoffs. While Neepawa proved itself to be the best team out there on the hardwood, they had to earn it from a tough and talented McGregor Mustangs squad. Early in the championship game, McGregor's size advantage created several challenges for the Tigers when they attempted any mid to short range baskets. The Mustangs also rebounded better on both ends of the NACI Gymnasium on Tuesday, March 7th. This gave McGregor a 15-12 lead after the first quarter. For the second, Neepawa started to improve their shooting percentages, but couldn't really gain any ground on the scoreboard as they trailed the Mustangs at halftime, 27-25. The turnaround seemed to occur about midway through the third quarter, as Neepawa's deeper bench allowed them to start out the Mustangs roster. That allowed them better access into the paint as they started driving to the basket with more precision. Isaac Zambilla picked up a pair of baskets in that manner just before the end of the third, helping Neepawa to take a 36-33 lead into the fourth quarter. In the final 10 minutes of regulation, the Tigers added to their lead with Zambilla J.M. Bellarmino, and Carl Dorado, combining to score the next 13 points for NACI. This trio would end the night with unofficial totals of 11, 14, and 15 points respectively. As a collective, the Tigers also took over control of the offensive rebounds and create second and at times third chances at a basket. By the end of the game, all that effort turned into a 56 to 47 victory for NACI. After the game, varsity boys head coach Chidi Small said his team adjusted its style of play at the half, and that made a difference as the game wore on. I told the players we had to focus on defense. We've played McGregor several times during the regular season, and they were quite familiar with how we ran our offense, and they were doing a good job of shutting it down. So we had to switch it up and focus on the defensive side of the game. Force turnovers, low percentage shots, and pick up the rebounds. If we did that, we know the chances on the other end would come around, said Small. Small added that the conditioning of his team came up big as the game progressed, adding that's something they'd worked on in practice throughout the season. He commended the roster for putting in the work all year to reach this accomplishment. Wow. Congratulations to them. There's no names, but this is the team and this is the coach. Chidi Small. Wow, congratulations. That's a huge honor. Now, we've got a little bit of time here left, not a lot, but I'm going to read a few articles from this page. So, I usually start out with Rita Friesen Homebodies, entitled Coming Home. I may have mentioned once or twice that I am one of 46 grandchildren on my maternal side. That means I have 45 first cousins. Whew. We are widely scattered and, of course, of varying ages. Our early years were lived secure in a nest of grandparents, aunts and uncles and cousins, close to the cousins our age, but certainly aware of every one of us. A few years ago, one started a private public media hub, a cousin's corner, where we exchange memories, share concerns and victories, and encourage one another. This weekend we faced a tough one. My thoughts come slowly and with difficulty, and not everyone may be comfortable continuing to read. One of my younger cousins, only 70, has had cancer for several years. The medical world has run out of options and treatments, and the quality of life had taken that dramatic downturn. During careful research and with the support of immediate family, my cousin chose MAID, M-A-I-D, which means medical assistance in dying, and chose to die surrounded by family at 3 o'clock in the afternoon on his birthday. The partner shared a last photo, my cousin comfortable as possible in a big comfy chair, surrounded by the people near and dear to him. Seeing how frail and very fatigued he had become, our hearts were even more tender. Every comment shared was loving and kind. Some of the regular cousin contributors were silent, grief, uncertainty, uncomfortable with the topic, or of a contrary opinion. It doesn't matter. The positive support was there. A number of cousins had already died, and several of the in-laws have died as well. We are familiar with grief, for every one of us are orphans, no living mother or father. I am about the middle of the pack, so there are cousins older by a decade, and younger by more than a decade. We are entering the stage and phase of life where death is a fairly constant companion, feeling the loss of family and friends. I admit I do not know if I will choose MAID or not. So much will depend on the state of my mind and health. I do know that I will not ever judge anyone who does choose MAID. Back in 2014, when I was walking with Ed through the valley of the shadow of death, one conversation struck deep. Many did, but this one made me think hard. Laying there in the hospital bed in the living room of the home he loved, he quietly said, "We didn't treat our animals like this." My reply was that the current law didn't allow for any options. And his reply then changed the law. Just a few short weeks later, I was called to speak to another one, a farmer, a family man, a man of integrity and values, and the conversation was almost verbatim. Here I had heard in the space of less than a month, thinking men facing death, willing to accept the responsibility of making the choice of dying on their terms, for the sake of their pain-racked bodies, for the sake of their drug-riddled bodies, for the sake of their loving and loyal partners meeting as much as possible all their needs, for the sake of the extended family watching the body wither and the mind fade. I have deep appreciation for my cousin, his bravery in making public his choice, for making me think. Now, Faithfully Yours by Neil Stroshine. What I wanted and what I got. This will be our last article for today. The first days of Lent 2023 presented me with challenges I had not expected. The biggest one came just over 2 weeks ago. I was in my home office trying to write a Sunday sermon. I had been at it for 3 days and was suffering from one of the most intense episodes of writer's block, or as I call it, scrambled brain, that I've ever experienced. I spent an hour or more staring at my computer screen. I could write a few words and then delete them, and so it went hour after hour. Now, as far as I know, I'm not losing my mind. I'm not suffering from the early stages of dementia, despite how it may look to my family at times. Nor is my experience any different from that which many of my readers either have or are currently going through. In my case, several unforeseen events happened within a 2-week period. Some of them were very sad events. I shared one of them in this space 2 weeks ago. A fourth reminded me of just how quickly someone can experience a major health scare. Fortunately, the person who suffered the scare has been given a clean bill of health. Several others, the details of which I will not disclose, were added to the mix. On the day mentioned above, I was writing a sermon that I hoped would contain words of hope, help, and healing that the people I serve each week needed to hear. But on this day, I needed someone to give me the words that I was preparing to share with others, because I was feeling hopeless, helpless, and was hurting deeply. I have felt this way before. It is a very scary place in which to be. It is one step away from total emotional burnout, and having gone through that twice in my lifetime, I have no desire to go through it again. In the past, I have recalled the advice doctors and counselors have given me, and have tried to apply their ideas to my current situation. This time, I did something I have never done before. I turned off my computer, sat in my reading chair located right next to the coffee maker in my office, turned off all the lights, closed my eyes, and said, "God, I give up. I can't do this anymore. Either show me a way to get through this turmoil or take it away from me. I am tired. I can't go on. I need your help, and I need it now." So you may ask, what changed because of that prayer? Absolutely nothing. God totally rejected every idea I had about how things in my life should change. I did get what I wanted, but I got what I needed. From the moment I uttered those words, I felt waves and waves of peace come over me. I was reminded of these words written by St. Paul. "Be anxious for nothing, but in everything by prayer and petition, let your requests be made known unto God, and the peace of God, which surpasses all understanding, will guard your hearts and mind in Jesus Christ." Philippians 4, verses 6 to 7. I was also reminded of Jesus' words, "Do not worry about tomorrow, for tomorrow will bring worries of its own. Today's trouble is enough for today. Matthew 6, verse 34. Jesus' words are liberating words. In next week's column, I will share just how liberating they have become for me. So on that note, I am going to close today's reading of the Neepawa Banner and Press, and I want to thank you for joining us, and hopefully we'll see you again next week. So bye for now.